My wife put on a skirt so short it could double as a belt and told me she had to go help her ex-boyfriend. I said, "Help him what, Marta? Find his dignity?" She rolled her eyes and checked herself in the hallway mirror one more time. The black leather number barely covered what God gave her, and the stilettos added 4 inches to her already impressive height. At 39, Marta Taylor still turned heads, and she damn well knew it. Lucas is having problems with his business, Nick. He needs someone to talk to. And that someone has to wear lingerie to a business meeting? Marta's reflection glared at me through the mirror. It's not lingerie. It's a designer outfit that costs more than your monthly gym salary. There it was. The knife twist she'd perfected over our 12 years of marriage. Nick Taylor, 41. Ex-Army Ranger turned gym manager. Not exactly the success story she'd signed up for when we met at Ohio State. Right. Well, don't let me keep you from your charitable work. I settled back into my recliner and grabbed the remote. I'm sure Lucas appreciates your counseling techniques. She spun around, her advertising executive mask slipping for just a second. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing at all, sweetheart. Have fun helping. The front door slammed hard enough to rattle our wedding photo on the mantel. Ironic, considering our marriage had been rattling for months. I sat there in our suburban Cincinnati living room, surrounded by the fruits of Marta's success. Leather furniture that cost more than most people's cars. Abstract art that looked like someone had sneezed paint onto canvas. A 65-inch TV that I was the only one who ever watched. My phone buzzed. Text from Jamal, my assistant manager at Iron Temple Gym. Dude, your wife just posted on Instagram. She's at Vertigo with some suit. Thought you should know. I opened Instagram. There was Marta, arm draped around Lucas Barrett's shoulders, both of them holding champagne flutes. The caption read, "Sometimes you need to help an old friend through tough times. Good friends through VIP Vertigo nights. Lucas Barrett. 42 years old, owns Barrett Marketing Solutions, drives a Jaguar, and apparently still thinks he has a claim on my wife. They'd dated for 2 years before she met me, and he'd never quite gotten over losing her. The feeling, it seemed, was mutual. I scrolled through the comments. Heart-eye emojis from her sister Victoria, who'd never liked me anyway. Supportive messages from her coworkers. And then I saw it. A comment from the Sinclair twins. Looks like someone's having more fun than her husband, Lexi and Lana Sinclair. 27-year-old Instagram models with a combined following of 2 million. They were Cincinnati's answer to the Kardashians, famous for being famous and stirring up drama wherever they went. They also happened to be members at my gym. An idea began forming in my head, a deliciously petty, perfectly justified idea. I grabbed my phone and scrolled through my contacts until I found Jamal's number. Hey, it's Nick. You still have connections at Vertigo? Yeah, man. My cousin Marcus works security there. Why? I need a favor. And call the crew. Tell them to meet me downtown in an hour. What's going on, boss? I looked at Marta's Instagram post one more time. Lucas had his hand on her lower back, right where her excuse for a skirt ended. Time to help my wife with her networking. Vertigo sat on the 32nd floor of the Carew Tower, all glass walls and neon lights, with a view of the Ohio River that cost $20 a drink to enjoy. It was the kind of place where Cincinnati's elite went to see and be seen, where business deals were made over overpriced cocktails and marriages died over innocent encounters. I'd traded my gym clothes for dark jeans and a black button-down that Marta had bought me for Christmas. Funny how she'd picked out something that made me look good when she was still pretending to care. The elevator ride to the 32nd floor gave me time to think. 12 years of marriage, 12 years of watching Marta climb the corporate ladder while I stayed steady, reliable, boring Nick. The gym manager who got up at 5 a.m. to open up for the early crowd, who came home smelling like sweat and rubber mats, while she came home smelling like expensive perfume and other people's ambition. The elevator doors opened to reveal Vertigo in all its pretentious glory. The bass line from some electronic song I didn't recognize thrummed through the floor. Beautiful people in expensive clothes clustered around high-top tables, their laughter mixing with the clink of glasses and the soft whoosh of the air conditioning. I spotted them immediately, corner booth, elevated section, perfect view of the dance floor and everyone who entered. Marta had her back to me, but I could see Lucas clearly. Still handsome in that Ken doll way, still wearing suits that cost more than most people's rent. His marketing agency had made him wealthy, and he wore that wealth like armor. But I wasn't here to confront them. Not yet. I made my way to the bar, ordered a bourbon, and sent a text to Lexi Sinclair. Hey, it's Nick from Iron Temple. I'm at Vertigo. Heard you and Lana like this place. The response came back in 30 seconds. OMG, yes, we're here too. Where are you? At the bar, black shirt. I turned around and scanned the crowd. It didn't take long to spot them. The Sinclair twins were hard to miss. Identical blondes in matching silver dresses that left little to the imagination. They were at a table near the windows, surrounded by their usual entourage of wannabe influencers and guys with more money than sense. Lexi spotted me first. She waved, said something to Lana, and they both started making their way over. The crowd parted for them like the Red Sea. That's what happened when you had 2 million followers and no shame about using your looks to get attention. "Nick!" Lexi threw her arms around me like we were old friends instead of gym member and manager. "What are you doing here? Where's your wife?" "She's here somewhere," I said, nodding toward Marta's section. "Working." Lana followed my gaze and her eyes lit up with understanding. The twins might have made their living looking pretty, but they weren't stupid. They could smell drama from a mile away, and drama was their specialty. "Oh," Lana said, drawing out the word. "That kind of working." "Buy us drinks and tell us everything," Lexi said, sliding onto the bar stool next to me. I signaled the bartender. 2 Cosmos for the ladies. As he mixed their drinks, I filled them in on the situation. Not everything. I wasn't about to air all my dirty laundry to a pair of Instagram models, but enough to paint the picture. Wife claims she's helping ex-boyfriend with business problems. Wife posts romantic-looking photos. Husband shows up to see what kind of help she's really providing. "That's terrible," Lana said, but her eyes were sparkling with excitement. "You must be devastated." "I'm getting over it," I said. "In fact, I think I'm ready to start having some fun of my own." The twins exchanged a look. They were good at reading between the lines. "What did you have in mind?" Lexi asked. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Text from Jamal. "We're here. Marcus got us VIP access. Pete brought his camera." Perfect. Pete was our social media guy at the gym, always documenting our events and workouts. Tonight, he'd be documenting something else entirely. "Ladies," I said, standing up and offering each twin an arm, "would you like to help me make my wife's evening more interesting?" They giggled and took my arms. We made quite a picture, gym manager and Instagram royalty, walking through Vertigo like we owned the place. Heads turned, phones came out, people started taking pictures. And in the corner booth, Marta finally noticed her husband had arrived. The look on Marta's face when she saw me with the twins was worth every dollar I'd ever spent on her credit card bills. Her mouth literally fell open, her champagne glass frozen halfway to her lips. Lucas followed her gaze, and his expression shifted from confusion to something that might have been fear. Good. They should be afraid. "Nick," Lexi said loudly enough for half the club to hear. "You didn't tell us you were such a good dancer." We weren't dancing yet, but the suggestion hung in the air like perfume. I could see Marta's brain working, trying to figure out what game I was playing. She knew me well enough to know I didn't do anything without a reason. "The night's young," I said, keeping my voice light and casual. "First, let me buy you beautiful ladies some champagne. The good stuff." I signaled to a waitress and ordered a bottle of Dom Perignon, $300 that would show up on our joint credit card, the same card Marta had used to buy her business meeting outfit. While we waited for the champagne, I spotted my crew. Jamal had positioned himself near the bar with a clear view of our table. Pete was by the windows, phone ready, looking like just another club-goer documenting his night out. Greg and Tyler had taken spots near the dance floor. They looked like they belonged. All of them were in good shape, well-dressed, the kind of guys who could blend into an upscale crowd when they needed to. The champagne arrived with the kind of fanfare that draws attention. The waitress made a show of opening the bottle, the cork popping loud enough to make nearby tables look over. I poured glasses for Lexi and Lana, then raised my own in a toast. "To new friendships," I said, loud enough for Marta to hear. "To new friendships," the twins chorused, clinking their glasses against mine. From the corner of my eye, I could see Marta leaning across the table, saying something urgent to Lucas. He was shaking his head, looking uncomfortable. Smart man. He could sense the trap closing around him, even if he couldn't see all the pieces yet. "So," Lana said, sliding closer to me on the curved booth seat we'd claimed, "tell us about yourself, Nick. What do you do when you're not managing the gym?" She was playing her part perfectly, loud enough for nearby tables to hear, touchy enough to look intimate. Her hand rested on my arm, her body language screaming availability. "I used to be in the Army," I said. "Special Forces. Did 3 tours in Afghanistan before I came home and decided I wanted a quieter life." It was true, mostly. I'd been a ranger, not Special Forces, but close enough for civilian purposes. And I had wanted a quieter life. I just hadn't expected quiet to turn into boring, or boring to turn into invisible. "That's so attractive," Lexi purred, running her finger along the rim of her champagne glass. I love a man in uniform. I don't wear uniforms anymore, I said, but I've stayed in shape. More truth. The gym wasn't just my job, it was my therapy. Every morning at 5 a.m., hitting the weights, running the track, keeping my body sharp even as my marriage dulled to nothing. We've noticed, Lana said. Haven't we, Lexi? Oh yes, we've definitely noticed. The conversation was getting ridiculous, but that was the point. We were creating a scene, drawing attention, making people wonder who the gym manager was who'd shown up with Cincinnati's most famous twins. And it was working. I could see phones coming out at other tables, people taking pictures and videos. In the age of social media, nothing stayed private for long, especially when Pete was strategically positioned to capture every moment. Dance with us, Lexi said, standing and holding out her hand. I'm not much of a dancer, I said. We'll teach you, Lana said, taking my other hand. The dance floor was crowded, bodies moving to a beat that seemed designed to make people press closer together. The twins sandwiched me between them, their movements synchronized like they'd practiced this routine, which, knowing them, they probably had. I wasn't a great dancer, but I could follow a lead, and the twins were definitely leading, their hands on my chest, my shoulders, guiding me through movements that looked a lot more intimate than they were. The music was loud enough that conversation was impossible, but body language spoke volumes. And the language we were speaking said that Nick Taylor was having the time of his life with two beautiful women who weren't his wife. Over Lexi's shoulder, I could see Marta. She was standing now, Lucas's hand on her arm like he was trying to hold her back. Her face was flushed, whether from anger or embarrassment, I couldn't tell. The song ended, but before we could leave the dance floor, another one started. This one slower, more intimate. Lana stepped back, leaving Lexi and me alone in what could generously be called a slow dance and more accurately described as vertical foreplay. Your wife is staring, Lexi whispered in my ear. Good, I whispered back. She's coming over. Even better. Marta appeared at the edge of the dance floor like an avenging angel in designer clothes. Her face was a mask of barely controlled fury, her hands clenched into fists at her sides. Nick, she shouted over the music. What the hell do you think you're doing? I turned slowly, keeping one arm around Lexi's waist. Dancing with a friend. You remember dancing, don't you? It's what people do when they're having fun. These aren't your friends, Marta snapped. These are... Beautiful, charming, available, I suggested. Yes, they are. Lexi giggled and pressed closer to me. Who's this, Nick? She seems upset. This is Marta, I said calmly. My soon-to-be ex-wife. The music seemed to pause, though I knew it was just my imagination. Marta's face went white, then red, then white again. Soon-to-be what? She said. I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out the papers I'd had my lawyer draw up that afternoon. Divorce papers, sweetheart. I just need your signature. The papers hit Marta like a physical blow. She staggered back a step, her designer heels wobbling on the polished dance floor. Around us, other dancers slowed their movements, sensing drama in the air like sharks sensing blood. You can't be serious, she said, but her voice cracked on the last word. Dead serious, I replied, keeping my tone conversational. Irreconcilable differences. I'm sure Lucas can help you understand the big words. That's when Lucas decided to play hero. He pushed through the crowd, his face flushed with anger and expensive whiskey. Taylor, he shouted, leave her alone. I turned to face him, still keeping Lexi close. Barrett, nice to see you again. How's business? Still need my wife's consultation? You don't know what you're talking about, he said, but his eyes darted away from mine. Don't I? I pulled out my phone and opened Instagram. Let's see. Sometimes you need to help an old friend through tough times. That's what you call it when you put your hands all over another man's wife? A crowd was gathering now. Nothing drew attention like a public confrontation, especially one involving local celebrities. The twins were eating it up, their phones out, recording everything for their stories. Nick, Marta said, trying to regain control of the situation. Can we please discuss this privately? Why? You didn't seem to mind making our business public when you posted those photos. Those were just what? Just you in a skirt that barely covers your ass, draped all over your ex-boyfriend? Just you lying to your husband about where you were going and who you were with? My voice was getting louder, carrying over the music. Other conversations were stopping as people turned to watch the show. You're embarrassing yourself, Marta hissed. Am I? Because from where I'm standing, you're the one who should be embarrassed. That's when she snapped. 12 years of marriage, and I'd never seen Marta completely lose control. But standing there on that dance floor, surrounded by strangers with their phones out, facing the collapse of the image she'd so carefully constructed, she finally cracked. "You pathetic loser," she screamed. "You think these sluts actually care about you. They're using you to get attention." Lexi gasped dramatically. "Excuse me, did she just call us sluts?" "I think she did," Lana said, appearing at my other side like a perfectly timed stage entrance. "I've got 1 million followers," Lexi continued, her voice carrying clearly through the club. "What does she have? A cheating problem and a husband who's finally smart enough to leave her?" The crowd murmured appreciatively. This was better than reality TV. "You don't know anything about our marriage," Marta shrieked. "I know you're here with another man while your husband is filing for divorce," Lana said sweetly. "That seems like the only thing that matters." Lucas tried to step in again. "Look, this is all a misunderstanding." "Is it?" I cut him off. "Because I've got 12 years of misunderstandings if you want to compare notes." I could see Pete in the crowd, phone steady, capturing every moment. Jamal was nearby, ready to step in if things got physical. But they wouldn't. Lucas was soft, a businessman who solved problems with money and lawyers, not fists, and Marta was too image-conscious to start throwing punches in public. At least, she had been. "I hate you," she said, her voice low and venomous. "I hate your pathetic job and your stupid gym and your boring life. I should have left you years ago." "Well," I said, "now you can. I've already moved your things into storage. The house goes on the market Monday." That stopped her cold. "What? Did you think I was bluffing? I filed the papers this morning, moved your stuff this afternoon, changed the locks an hour ago." It wasn't entirely true. I'd need a court order to actually lock her out of the house, but she didn't know that. And the look of panic that crossed her face was worth the small deception. "You can't do that." "I just did. You can stay with Lucas. I'm sure he has room." Lucas's face went pale. "Now wait just a minute." "What's wrong, Lucas? Not ready to put your money where your mouth is?" The crowd was loving it. Phones were everywhere now, recording from every angle. This would be all over social media within the hour. Security finally showed up, 2 large men in black suits who looked like they could bench press a Buick. "Is there a problem here?" the larger one asked. "No problem," I said calmly. "Just a domestic discussion. We're leaving." I handed the divorce papers to Marta, who took them automatically, still too shocked to process what was happening. "Have your lawyer look those over," I said. "I think you'll find the terms very reasonable." I turned to the twins. "Ladies, shall we continue this party somewhere more private?" "Absolutely," they said in unison. As we walked toward the exit, I could hear Marta behind us, her voice rising to a pitch that probably scared dogs 3 blocks away. "This isn't over, Nick. You hear me? This isn't over." I paused at the elevator and looked back. She was standing in the middle of the dance floor, divorce papers clutched in her hands, mascara running down her cheeks, while Lucas stood helplessly beside her and 100 strangers recorded her breakdown for posterity. "You're right," I called back. "It's just getting started." The elevator doors closed on her scream of rage. By the time I got home, to my house, with my new locks, the videos were already online. Pete had done his job well. The footage was edited like a movie trailer. Marta's scream of pathetic loser, the twins' perfectly timed comebacks, Lucas's stammering attempts at damage control, and my calm delivery of the divorce papers. He'd even added music, some dramatic orchestral piece that made the whole thing feel like a climactic scene from a thriller. The twins had posted their own versions, of course. Lexi's story was titled, "When You Accidentally Become Part of Someone's Divorce Drama," and had already been viewed 50,000 times. Lana's was more direct. Some women don't appreciate what they have. But the real viral moment came from an unexpected source. Someone else at the club, probably one of the dozens of people recording with their phones, had captured Marta's final meltdown from a different angle. This version showed her chasing after us as we left, screaming obscenities while Lucas tried unsuccessfully to calm her down. The video was titled, "Cincinnati Karen Has Epic Meltdown at Vertigo," and it was climbing toward 1 million views. I poured myself a bourbon and settled into my recliner, the one piece of furniture in the house that was actually mine, and scrolled through the comments. Holy shit, that woman is unhinged. The husband is hot, though. Good for him. Are those the Sinclair twins? Lucky bastard. She really wore that outfit to help a friend? Plot twist, the friend was helping himself to more than business advice. My phone buzzed. Text from my mother in Florida. Saw the video? About time you grew a spine. She was never good enough for you. Another text, this one from my sister in Denver. Holy crap, Nick, are you okay? Also, how did you end up with Instagram models? Then one from Jamal. Dude, you're famous. Local news wants to interview you. I was about to put the phone down when it rang. Unknown number. Hello? Nick Taylor? The voice was crisp, professional. Speaking. This is Jennifer Walsh from Channel 12 News. We'd like to interview you about the incident at Vertigo tonight. No comment, I said. Mr. Taylor, your wife has already agreed to an interview. Don't you want to tell your side of the story? That stopped me. She what? She's scheduled to appear on Good Morning Cincinnati tomorrow. She says you've been abusive and that tonight was part of a pattern of controlling behavior. I almost laughed. Marta was nothing if not predictable. When backed into a corner, she always went on the attack. Let me guess, I said. She's painting herself as the victim. I can't comment on the content of the interview, but I can offer you a chance to respond. I'll think about it. I hung up and immediately called my lawyer, David Chen. Yes, I know I said no Chens, but this is different. He's my actual lawyer, not a character I made up. Nick, it's almost midnight. This better be good. Have you seen the videos? What videos? I was asleep. Check your phone. I'll wait. There was a pause, then the sound of typing. Jesus Christ, Nick. What did you do? I filed for divorce, remember? You drew up the papers. I didn't tell you to serve them in the middle of a nightclub while dancing with Instagram models. The opportunity presented itself. And now your wife is claiming abuse on the morning news. Do you have any idea how this looks? It looks like a woman who got caught cheating and is trying to spin the story. It looks like a man who publicly humiliated his wife and then left with 2 women half his age. David had a point, but I wasn't worried. Do you have the evidence package ready? What evidence package? The one you're going to prepare tonight? Text messages, credit card records, phone logs, everything that proves she's been cheating. Nick, I can't just... You can and you will. Because in about 6 hours, Marta is going to go on television and lie about me. And when she does, I want to be ready to bury her with the truth. There was a long pause. You've changed, Nick. This isn't like you. He was right. The old Nick would have suffered in silence, would have tried to work things out, would have let Marta control the narrative, but the old Nick was married to a woman who respected him. Maybe it's time for a change, I said. After I hung up, I poured another bourbon and opened my laptop. If Marta wanted to play the media game, I'd show her how it was done. I created a new YouTube account under the name Iron Truth and uploaded a video Pete had shot earlier that evening. Security footage from the gym showing me working out alone while Marta's Instagram showed her at dinner with Lucas. The timestamp proved she'd lied about her whereabouts. The video was titled The Truth About Tonight and included a simple description. Sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. Sometimes it's worth a 12-year marriage. Within an hour, it had 10,000 views. By morning, it would have 100,000, and Marta's interview would be the least of her problems. I woke up at 5 a.m., same as always. 12 years of marriage, 3 years of divorce proceedings, and a viral internet meltdown couldn't change my internal clock. The gym opened at 6, and I had responsibilities. My phone showed 47 missed calls and 236 text messages. I ignored them all and went for my morning run. The streets of our suburban neighborhood were quiet, just me and the occasional dog walker. No one recognized me yet. The viral videos showed me in dim club lighting, and I looked different in running gear at dawn. But that would change soon enough. I ran my usual 5-mile route, past the houses where my neighbors lived their quiet lives, past the elementary school where Marta and I had once talked about sending our kids, past the coffee shop where we used to have Sunday breakfast when we still liked each other. By the time I got home, the local news vans had arrived. There were 3 of them parked on my street, their satellite dishes extended like mechanical flowers reaching for the sun. I could see reporters checking their makeup in side mirrors, cameramen testing their equipment. I slipped in through the back door and showered quickly. By 7:30, I was dressed and ready for work, but the reporters were still there. My phone rang. Jamal. Boss, you might want to stay home today. There are news crews at the gym, too. How many? 4, maybe 5, and about 50 people with phones trying to get pictures. Great. My 15 minutes of fame were interfering with business. Can you handle things without me? Yeah, but Nick, you need to see what's happening online. I opened my laptop. The Cincinnati Karen video now had 3 million views. My Iron Truth video was approaching 500,000. But those weren't the ones that made my blood run cold. Someone had found Marta's old social media posts and created a compilation video titled The Real Marta Taylor. It showed her at various events over the past 2 years, always with different men, always dressed to kill, always playing the role of the available woman despite the wedding ring on her finger. The video had been viewed 2 million times in 6 hours. But worse than that were the comments on Marta's own social media accounts. Her Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter were flooded with thousands of messages, most of them brutal. Cheating whore got what she deserved. Your husband is a hero for leaving you. Hope Lucas was worth destroying your marriage. Those twins are hotter than you anyway. Some of the comments were defending her, but they were drowned out by the mob. This was what happened in the social media age. One viral moment could destroy a life in hours. My phone buzzed, text from an unknown number. This is Victoria. We need to talk. Victoria. Marta's sister, the one who'd never liked me, who'd always thought Marta had married beneath her. She was a corporate lawyer, smart and ruthless, the kind of person who could make problems disappear if you paid her enough. I texted back, nothing to talk about. There's going to be if you don't stop this. Stop what? Telling the truth? Stop the harassment. Stop the videos. Stop turning my sister into a laughing stock. I almost laughed. I didn't turn her into anything. She did that herself. Meet me at Starbucks on Montgomery Road in an hour. Come alone. Or what? Or I'll make sure your life gets very complicated very quickly. I looked out my front window at the news vans, then at my laptop screen showing the viral videos that had already been viewed millions of times. More complicated than this? But I agreed to meet her. Not because I was afraid of Victoria's threats, but because I was curious what kind of deal she thought she could make. The Starbucks was only half a mile from my house, but I had to take a circuitous route to avoid the reporters. Victoria was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth with a venti something or other and a look that could freeze fire. She was 2 years older than Marta, with the same bone structure but none of the warmth. Where Marta was beautiful in an approachable way, Victoria was beautiful like a knife, sharp, cold, and dangerous to touch. You look like hell, she said as I sat down. Thanks. You look like a lawyer about to make a bad offer. I'm here to help you, Nick. Help me what? Destroy my own life? She leaned forward, her voice dropping to a whisper. Do you have any idea what you've done? Marta can't leave her apartment. She's getting death threats. Her boss is reviewing her position at the agency. Lucas has already fired her from his consulting contract. Sounds like the consequences of her own actions. This isn't justice, Nick. This is a lynch mob. She wasn't wrong. The internet had a way of turning personal drama into public spectacle, and once the mob decided you were the villain, there was no reasoning with them. But I wasn't feeling particularly reasonable. Where was this concern when she was humiliating me for 12 years? She never humiliated you publicly. No, she just did it privately, every day. Every time she rolled her eyes at my job, every time she made it clear I wasn't good enough, every time she chose someone else over me. Victoria sat back, studying me like I was a puzzle she couldn't solve. What do you want, Nick? Money? She'll give you whatever you want in the divorce. I don't want her money. Then what? I thought about it for a moment. What did I want? Justice? Revenge? Or just the satisfaction of watching someone who'd made me feel small finally understand what that felt like? I want her to stop lying, I said finally. I want her to admit what she did instead of playing the victim. She's scared, Nick. She made a mistake, but she doesn't deserve this. A mistake? She's been cheating on me for months, maybe years. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. Victoria's phone buzzed. She looked at it, and her face went pale. What is it? She turned the phone toward me. It was a news alert. Lucas Barrett found dead in apparent suicide. The words hit me like a physical blow. I read the headline 3 times before it sank in. That's not possible. Victoria was already standing, gathering her things. Congratulations, Nick. You got your revenge. I hope it was worth it. She left me sitting there, staring at the news alert, wondering how a night of petty revenge had turned into something so much darker.